What's up, guys? Welcome. Wow. Welcome to today's video. Today, which is actually an extension of another day, we're gonna be messing with a catch can. So I've always had the same catch can set up. It's always been on the exhaust side, which I'm not a huge fan of. Oil, vapor, hot stuff. Just kind of asking for fire stuff, right? Never had an issue. Even when I did actually have a fire, it had nothing to do with that. So I'm going to show you guys real quick the current setup. Let's see. So that right there is the current setup. It's like an all-star breather. And it's baffled and everything, but it's just got this big, ugly line. And then it goes over there to... So then it goes over there to where the... I vented the valve covers, so I took those all apart a long time ago. When I painted them and engine turned them and everything like that, pulled the baffles out, I tapped them for half-inch NPT so that I could put one of those 90 in each side to get rid of the PCV and just the standard crankcase ventilation. So, today what we're going to do is I've had a vibrant catch can, which is way nicer than that one. It's got a dipstick and all that stuff. We're going to get that installed. I did quite a while ago modify the bracket. It's got this really wicked like modular mounting system that has like this slotted bracket that you can loosen up at the top. I'll just show you guys. All right, so it's the happiest catch can on the market. It's like an emoji. But as I was saying, this bracket right here, I already modified it. You can see I welded it. I just couldn't get the bend that I needed for where I'm going to be putting it. So I just cut it most of the way through, bent it to where I needed it, welded it back, and we're done. What's great is what you guys can't see is where these holes are here. There's actually slots in this, so I already tightened it all down, but if you loosen it up, it can be moved and clocked wherever you need it to be moved, which is really nice. It is really large, so that's kind of the reason we're going to mount it where I'm going to mount it. So let's go, I'll show you. Alright, so back over here at the car, basically what I came up with, this is the furthest away from hot things that I can get this. Man, you can't even see that. Still, terrible shadows. Terrible shadows. Well, that's where it's going to go. You guys can kind of see it there. Get an idea of at least where it's going. But, yeah, so basically I'm going to pop a couple holes in the tub. It's nowhere near a tire, but I'm going to probably put the bolts from the inside out because I kind of forgot to grab my riv nut tool. And then eventually, or... we'll see how it does with just the two bolts, but I may get like a very large P-clamp to go around it and bolt down in here as well. This could just be a temporary thing until I do the rear mount and everything and stand the intercooler up, because there's going to be a lot more room up here once I do that. So yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get all the oil stuff out from over there, where the vapor and there's a big line that goes across there. That's going to go away, and then those lines will come either down here next to the intake manifold or maybe loop even further out. Kind of silly to go even further. It's kind of a waste of line, so I'll probably just loop probably somewhere in there, maybe go under the fuel pressure regulator because I don't want to cover that up. I also don't want to interfere with my dipstick, which is back over there. But other option is I can go like through the intake manifold because it is factory runners down in here. So I could potentially just drop it down through in there, like pop a 90 on that fitting there and just, straight through there. That would probably be the shortest route. Don't love a 90-90, but we'll see what fittings I actually have. I'll likely run a 45 back in there, just to get it kind of headed in the right direction away from some of the heat, and then go back behind the coils, kind of up and over the way that it is now. And then down into probably some 45s in there. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to get this mounted first, and then play with some fittings, get the old stuff out. Alright, so that's there. I had some of these awesome purple hardware left over from Big Country Labs, which is really sick. Really nice beauty washer there. So a little nylock to put underneath. So that guy will fit right in there and in there. I got to get the wrench that I need and get this guy bolted in. Alright, so there you have it. It's really impressive. From where this wasn't exactly on the angle that I thought it was when I drilled it, it pulled it up a little bit, but I'm sure that's going to vibrate like crazy. So I will eventually get me something to mount this probably around here to hold it against down in here somewhere. This will be alright for now. I'll probably just shove something like a coupler underneath it for now. That may be all that it needs, really, because this bracket is serious stuff. I mean, it's really serious. Nice stuff. I'm glad that I cut it. It didn't really want to bend because it's so stiff. So, next is to figure out line routing and fittings and line that I need and all like that. Get it all put together. Alright, so this is what the old catch can system used to look like. So you got the two fittings that came out of the valve covers, and it went into a T to this massive ugly line, and into that like all-star universal catch can. Just kind of nestled over there, and don't get me wrong, that worked, but the new setup's going to be nice. Over here, got my speed flow. Soft jaws for building AN lines. I've had these things for a long time. I got turned on to these guys by Dale Hyler down in Australia at Castle Hill Performance. I worked with him on a couple of the Street Outlaws cars, and these guys are made in Australia. Really nice fittings as well. They aren't really as available or really available at all here in the US, but he sent me these over because he's a Haltech dealer, one of the largest. He's a really switched on guy. But enough about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my hose ends assembled onto my hose that I have here, shove that back in the car, and see where it needs to be cut, and then get the other end, hose end, on. So then that can be assembled, and then repeat for the other valve cover to the other fitting on the catch can. So I'm going to get this onto here. Yeah. So. Alright, I am super stoked on how this turned out. Not only is it away from all the exhaust, it looks a lot better in my opinion. Got everything tied up. I can still see my fuel pressure gauge. Can still adjust the regulator if I ever needed to for any reason. Back in here, it goes kind of like under the intake to make its curve back there. And then you can still get to the dipstick. It's not pushing on it at all. Goes back behind the cylinder head over there. And you can see down in there. And then up in there. Now, I will say that I want to put some heat sleeving on that. I just didn't have it here at the house. I'm pretty sure I've got some at the shop, I think. If not, then luckily I can just put that, pop that off, slip the heat sleeving over, and pop the line back on. And that's all good to go. Yeah. Opened up a little real estate over there. Took up a little real estate over here, but honestly, for oil vapors and whatnot, I think that that's a much safer spot than over by the exhaust, which obviously the wastegate is right there, right next to where that was. So that's super hot pretty much the entire time I'm on track, or really anytime I'm in the car. But kind of clean things up a little bit. One last thing kind of going across the downpipe. Now, I think honestly that line is actually further away from the exhaust than it used to be. If not, it's the same amount, so I'm not as worried about it, but I will put some heat sleeving on that. Yeah, turned out pretty good. It's not going to be fun to get to the dipstick, but honestly this thing's so big, I'll just empty it after I do events. So yeah, another thing done that I've been putting off, that now that the car's at the house, I just walk downstairs and work on it instead of a 15-minute drive to get there. So yeah. So the last thing I wanted to go through is just go back over some of my little tips and tricks for doing AN lines. Obviously I just kind of sped through all of that, but get that Earl's lubrication. I talked about that in the last video. I will put a link in the description. This is all Vibrant stuff. Again, that's what I choose for my vehicle. That's what after building the V12 and working with them, I basically just went and grabbed up a bunch of the parts that I had used, like off of a few different sites, and everything just assembled so easily that I was just like, okay, this is the only way to go. So back to tips and tricks. Sorry, that's just, I want you guys to know how happy I am with these products from Vibrant. And again, this is after using them with the V12 project, I can't bring myself to use something else because they worked the whole time with no issues, and it was super easy to assemble. That's why I'm using these things. But yeah, so lots of lubrication. That's a big thing. You don't have to have a vise, and the AN jaws, I would recommend it. It definitely makes things a lot faster and easier. AN wrenches get you a set. You can get them cheap. I would recommend you putting a little bit of money away, getting you a nice set all the way from 3 to -20. Some sets stop at 16. I can tell you that you will eventually run into a -20. If you're doing like radiator stuff, anything like that, you will run into a 20. And when you don't have it, it's a real pain because it's a big fitting. So get you some AN wrenches. I do recommend there's a couple different companies. Vibrant is one of them. That's the one that I was using from work. The adjustable jaw AN wrench that has the like square in it, so it's got the jaws that you know, they're not like a standard adjustable like this. They've got like an offset, so they're like this part and this part. that has made life a lot easier, and things seem to assemble a lot faster. So I would recommend those. Obviously, you can use adjustable wrenches. They might just kind of tear up your AN fittings, which kind of silly. You're spending a bunch of money on AN fittings. You might as well protect them. You know, take your time. Figure out how each fitting goes together. Measure your line. That's a big one. Don't waste line. This line's too expensive to waste. So put one fitting on one end, string it over, route it the way that you're going to route it. Make sure it's routed properly, because I would hate to see, one of you guys go to do this and say, hey, I try to use your tips and tricks, and, like I kept coming up short, or it was way long and I wasted a bunch of line. Route it. Even if you use zip ties, route your line the way it's going to be routed, and then give yourself an extra like 1/4 inch. Can't hurt. Typically, a 1/4 inch isn't going to like make things not work unless it's a super short line. So if you've got a longer line, give yourself an extra 1/4 inch, because you can usually you've got a little wiggle room. I'm going to end my tips for this with lubrication again. That's what makes these things go together super fast. Make sure that you clean these things out. I didn't worry about it so much on this because it's breather. Also, the lines and everything were brand new and packed away. If this thing were anything like oil or anything like that, I usually recommend cleaning them out with like brake clean or some sort of like cleaner like that, and then spray them out with compressed air. So if you've got a compressor, blow them out really good, then put them on the car. Put a dab of that assembly lubricant on the threads themselves. That will definitely make them go together better. Start every one by hand. Don't cross thread these fittings. There's nothing worse than spending, $15-20 on one fitting and then ruining it by not taking your time. So take your time, start everything by hand. You'll see that I did start even the hoses by hand, and then got the wrench. So make sure you're into the threads. If you're not, you're doing something wrong. You should be able to get everything started by hand. If you're not using a quality fitting, that could also be your issue. Use quality fittings. I'm not telling you to all use Vibrant. That's just what I've been using and really like. That's what I've been using all lately at work. So I just continued the trend on my personal car because I had really good luck with it. Buy some quality fittings. If you buy cheap fittings, they're going to leak either at the swivel fitting, if they're swivel, or they might even leak at the actual taper. Don't buy cheap fittings unless it's for something that doesn't matter. And even then, don't do it. You're going to have more headache and hassle. And you're probably only saving a couple bucks because these things are kind of expensive anyways. Yeah. So, catch cans on. That's cleaned up. I really need to clean the car. I've been doing some stuff around my house with organization stuff and using a chop saw, and there's just dust everywhere. So I need to wash the car. Hopefully it'll get blown out tomorrow when I drive it. Yeah. So until next time, whenever that is, stay safe, stay healthy, be smart, stay connected. See you guys soon, hopefully. Peace.